Hi, welcome to this special Reclaim the Frame event for the gorgeous, glorious summer film Perfect 10. You are about to meet the two stars and Eva Riley, the writer-director. And first of all, I'd like to welcome everyone from our participatory cinemas around the country and all the audiences and Reclaim the Frame members that join us, either if it's your first time or you're a regular. Welcome to everybody. And so particularly Leeds and Plymouth, Glasgow, Birmingham, Exeter, Brighton, London, Newcastle, Sheffield, Manchester, Brighton, Spotlight, because that's also where the film is set and shot. And so this talk will be subtitled live so welcome to people who are hard of hearing and deaf. This is really important to us, Bird's Eye View, to make our events accessible to everybody. A little bit about me. I am a producer. I've made films that have won an Oscar and BAFTA nominated, both docs and fiction, and Bird's Eye View has been agitating. We call ourselves cultural agitators. We particularly spotlight films by women, and our mission is to bring ever greater audiences to films by women. It's under the name Reclaim the Frame. So it's all about the perspective. Who holds the power is who decides what you see and why. And that means the writer, the director, or the person who tells the story. So in this case, that is Eva, who you'll meet shortly. It's really important for us. Obviously, usually we do our work in cinemas. They're all closed. We all know why. Everyone's starting to open in fits and starts. But it's still really important for us to make our events accessible like this. And it means that more people we can welcome all at the same time. And so one of those partners is the Barbican. So you will now hear a short introduction to the film from the Barbican, who are playing the film on their new Barbican player. Welcome to Sonia.
Good evening, everyone. As I'm sure Mia has mentioned, my name is Sonia Zadurian, and I'm one of the curators of the cinema team at the Barbican Centre. I'm really sorry that I can't be there live this evening, but I'm delighted to have been able to record this message and say a few words about Perfect 10 and why we're so pleased to have the film available at Barbican on demand. Perfect 10 tells the story of Lee, a 14-year-old aspiring gymnast whose life changes with the arrival of Joe, a brother she never knew she had. In the beginning, we watch her perform and feel her sadness when it's revealed that, unlike the other girls in her class, there's no one there to watch her. The story unfolds very naturally, and it really feels as if every scene is given room and time to breathe, leaving us with such a strong sense of what life is like for me. Something restrained and observational about Eva Riley's direction, whilst also, of course, being very deliberate. The film is punctuated throughout by these really powerful moments that evoke a sense of what it's like to be a teenage girl. From the peer pressure that Lee feels when she's asked to dance for Joe and a group of his friends, her embarrassment when a group of fellow gymnasts make fun of her leotard. These moments are driven by a fantastic performance from Frankie Box, who presents Lee as complex with conflicting attributes that show at different times. She's awkward and nervous around the other gymnasts, but she's also bold and mouthy around Joe and his friends. Then, of course, there's Alfie Deegan's Joe, who is also not a straightforward character. He's clearly much more worldly and popularly, but he's also quite browbeaten by the older male friend that he works for. And it's during those moments when we really feel how young Lee and Joe really are. In Lee, Eva has given us a character to care for and root for. We want the best for her, and when she buys the new shiny purple leotard, it's such a joyful, memorable moment. This connection to the character is painfully apparent throughout, in good moments and in bad, but it's in one of the final climactic sequences that we feel it most acutely. It's at this moment that Lee's life could go one of two ways, and we're absolutely on the edge of our seats, at the same time as feeling very tense and worrying that she's going to make the wrong call. As the scene progresses, there's an overwhelming feeling of resolution as Lee performs brilliantly and there's finally someone there to watch her. I'm going to hand back over to Mia now, but before I do, I'd like to say a big thank you to Bird's Eye View for staging this discussion, and of course for letting me say a few words. I'm really looking forward to catching the recording. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia. Welcome back. So without further ado, I would like to welcome in Eva Riley, writer, director of Perfect 10, and stars Frankie Box, who plays Lee, and Alfie Deegan, who plays Joe.
Hello.
Hello.
How are we doing?
Hey, Alfie.
So we don't have Alfie in vision, sadly.
Yeah, sorry about this, everyone.
We can
it's just
hear
a
you
nightmare
loud
getting
and
there.
clear, so that's good. We may have lost Frankie, so we'll bring her back when we can. So I'm going to start with a question for Eva, actually. Before we get going on talking about the film, how did film as a form, did it find you or did you find it? Like, why are you a filmmaker?
That's an interesting question. So I think I wanted to be a photographer first of all. Actually, no, first of all, I wanted to be an actress when I was a teenager. I was really interested in acting. And then when I was about 17, 18, I realized I didn't want to do that anymore. And I got into photography, and I ended up in a course which had photography and film on it. So it's just kind of coincidence, I guess. And I liked film as well. And then through the course of that studying, I realized that I actually really liked the film side of it. I made some short films, and I just got so into it because it was kind of combining acting, which I loved, and photography and writing, which I also loved. So I guess it found me at university, and then kept on finding me because I've stayed interested in it since then.
Yep, lovely. Yeah, well, please stay in it because now we found you. So we will talk about this beautiful debut. So first of all, I just wanted to ask you, actually, love the quote you said that you wanted to make a film that tapped into the energy of being young, which I think you do very well, and it's hard to do that. And
yeah.
So just talk us through your inspirations and how it evolved and how gymnastics also wrapped into that.
Yeah, so the first image I had when I was kind of coming up with an idea for a new film was this idea of like a young brother and a sister in the countryside having fun in the sun. That's literally just like an image I had in my head, which is often kind of how I have a starting point. And then it was a sort of process of like, I really liked that idea and just like finding a narrative within it and working out who these two young people were. So I wanted them both to have an individual passion. Got really interested in gymnastics through, for some reason, I went down a YouTube like rabbit hole or whatever and discovered gymnastics floor routines and got really, really into that. I thought it'd be really interesting to as I learned more about gymnastics, to make the main character a gymnast. And then I also learned a bit about motorbikes and like sort of petty crime related to motorbikes. There was quite a lot in the media around that time about it. And there was I didn't really like the tone of how people talked about young people involved in it. It was very judgmental, and I didn't really like that. So I thought it'd be really interesting to explore that world through the brother. And yeah, I just at some point I realized it should be like a brother who kind of enters this girl's life. Like, what would it be like to have a brother when you thought you were an only child? And once I had those three elements, the gymnastics, the motorbikes, and the setup of this sort of girl who discovers that she has a brother, I just went from there. And it was a long process of writing. I mean, God, I spent many years writing. It felt like, I mean, it was just probably about a year and a half, but it felt like more than that. And it was really complicated film to write in many ways. But I guess after a while, I realized actually this is actually just a simple story about a brother and sister with this backdrop of gymnastics and motorbikes. And for me, from the beginning, it was always about having this sense of energy and fun and light between this brother and sister. I wanted it to be like a really tender story, but also kind of funny and energetic. And also I wanted it to feel like those kind of memories from like summer when you're a teenager, even if it's not, you know, like I'm from Edinburgh, it's not that sunny there, but like I still have memories of the summer, and like the summer holidays is feeling really long. And you kind of always have these sort of life-changing summers, I guess. So that's kind of what I wanted to get into in this film. And yeah, I went from there.
So Alfie, your story was not, you did not start off with film ambitions. It's kind
to be honest with you, I'll wing this one. I can't even lie to you, I'll wing this one. But it was the right place at the right time. We had choral night, and she found me a boxing place. Yeah, it was a blinder really, because I thought she was actually coming up to me to ask my age, like because I had a pint in my hand, and I was only like 17, I think 18 just turned. For some reason, I didn't want to get in trouble, so I was just like, yeah, I'm 19, yeah, I'm old enough to drink, But yeah, she ended up asking me if I wanted to be in a film, and that was that. Before I knew it, I was doing auditions left, right, and centre. And yeah, got the part. But
and we put Alfie through the mill. He had to do a lot of auditions to get the part.
Yeah, I did. What did I do, Eva? Was it 5 in the end?
Well, you kind of, first of all, you turned up to this group audition where there was lots of different guys there, wasn't there? And I was actually considering you for a different role. And then you were so interesting, and I thought you were so funny and cool. And I thought, actually, do you know what? Maybe he could be the part of Joe.
Yeah.
And so then you came back for an audition with Frankie, and then I think you did 2 more.
We done a video one of where you asked me about my life, and I think that's what tipped you off, really.
I think that might have been Lucy, actually. So Lucy, our casting director, the way we did it with everyone, for anyone who's involved and interested in it, we started with an interview. So Alfie did an interview with Lucy, and they just chatted. And I thought Alfie seemed really interesting. Then he came to this group audition. I thought he was interesting again. And then he came to this kind of chemistry test thing where we had different boys, different girls, and we sort of paired them all up. And that's when I got really interested in Alfie, because
me and Frankie just straight away clicked, didn't we? Yeah, we just straight away clicked. It was like a little brother and sister in real life sort of thing, me off. But yeah, like even to this day, she's got a big part to play in my life now, Frankie. Do you know what I mean? She's good stuff for what she's been through enough, and like to overcome that and now do this film. It's inspirational. Here she is. What's happening, Frank?
Oh,
hey, Frankie.
What's happening? But yeah, no, that's basically how I got the part. Me, I winged it, to be honest with you. I winged it a lot. Never went to drama school. Never went to none of that. Just done drama in school. I got A star, and then I obviously used it.
Right.
But Alfie you had been in like a theatrical thing before, hadn't you, Alfie?
Yeah, I was in Lord of the Flies by Matthew Bourne. I used to do dance quite a lot, Mia, and I always liked the thought of just performing. And yeah, once I'd done that, I thought, you know what, there's got to be another like chance that I can have to get myself out there, sort of thing. And this come around, and I was like, wow, like, got to take it up, got to.
Yeah.
Right. Frankie, welcome. It's so nice to see you. We were worried about your connection, but hopefully you can hear us.
She's fold.
I don't think she can hear us. Oh,
Is
that's
mine?
Yes. Yeah. Just checking how you got involved in the film. You went through a lot of auditions, so just talk us through that process.
I think it's this stream.
Oh yeah.
Babe, we're gonna you might have to come back out and come back in again.
Yeah.
We're gonna need to keep it rolling, so maybe come back in. Okay, so at what point did you decide that a lot of it, so you wrote something? Talk us through the writing process, because I understand that quite a lot of it was improvised. So I'd like you to talk about that, Eva.
Yeah.
Alfie, how that was for you.
Yeah.
So Eva first.
So it took me a long time to write the script because obviously I had to structure it and create all the scenes, and and there was all the dialogue is written. So I think people sometimes get confused when I talk about it, because they think we just kind of made up the whole story on the spot. It wasn't like that. Everything was written in terms of the story. And then when it came to shooting it, I would just give the actors license to improvise around the dialogue that I written. So some scenes are quite similar, are pretty much the same as the script in terms of dialogue, but sometimes it would be more like 30% is improvised, 70% is scripted. And there's some scenes, like there's a scene in the middle of the film where they're eating apples and talking about Lee's mum, and Alfie's laughing because he hates eating apples, and I had to
after that I'm never eating an apple again.
Eat a lot of apples. Oh my, I traumatized some of the apples. So with that scene, a lot of it's improvised, because I was kind of like, I wasn't really happy with the way I'd written the scene, and I wanted to find it more in the dialogue, and I knew that they come up with some beautiful stuff. So for me, it's just about having a lot of faith in the actors. And like, I've done it before, so I'm kind of confident enough. Like, it's a bit, it's tricky and it's a bit scary sometimes, because you don't know what you're going to get. But because I knew that Alfie and Frankie were amazing improvisers, and we had a really nice relationship, and I felt like I could be quite straightforward with them about stuff, it just meant that we could kind of create these nice moments, didn't it, Alfie?
Yeah. Likewise as what Eva said to me, I find it a lot more easier just saying it as it feels and being in that moment, because that's how you get the real me sort of thing. In I was trying to be Joe, but also myself in that scene, like in most scenes, just to try and. The more that I act, I found throughout the film, I learned a lot doing it, but I found that the more that I tried to act, the less that it weren't as good every time I tried to act. Whereas if I tried to just throw in my own way of doing it, I still stuck with the script, like Eva said, it was 30-70, but there's certain slang words that I wouldn't use in the script, so obviously I just go off on my own little one. And what was good with Eva is she wouldn't cut it straight away. She'd just keep it rolling, because that could be a good take me up. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So I think it did work in our favour that we didn't actually go straight all lines sort of thing. It did help me out a little bit.
And what was really nice in that first audition, when Frankie and Alfie met, we realised that Alfie, you had said, like, you had similar slang to Frankie, didn't you? It was quite nice, and you had similar kind of like jokes and like ways you riff on things. So it was just exactly, your banter was
we had
like
the same banter. I think that's what made you pick us as well, Eva, wouldn't it?
It did. I was like,
sounded like we were from the same area.
Well, I was like, I've said this before, but I kind of was like, God, do you guys know each other already? Because you just like got on so well. It was scary. And like so many jokes in the film are just jokes that they just come up with on the spot, or they said it like when we weren't shooting, and I was like, okay, let's put that.
Let's throw that in. Really, yeah, you're right.
Like, my favorite one is when they say "on your ones."
When she runs after me, when I'm like, come on, you're it, and then she's like, no, you're on your ones, mate.
And I love it, because I'm a 33-year-old woman from a totally different background. I'm not going to know like how you say, like, I can't write all the way, chat and stuff like that. So it's just so much better if they brought their own stuff to it, and it's just much more natural. I love that.
Sadly, I don't know if we're going to get Frankie, because there's something wrong with her connection. If she comes back, we'll be lucky. But talk us through the casting of Frankie, because the whole film revolves around her, and she had to be a real gymnast, or did she? I mean, that must have been the dream. You may not have thought you would find a real gymnast, but you did.
I kind of did. Like, I was just like, we're gonna find a gymnast. I have like me. I don't know what it's. I have this like blind faith. I just was like, we're gonna find a gymnast, And we met loads of gymnasts. There were other young women who were like in consideration for it. But for me, I'm not the kind of director who is very good at doing all those kind of trick shots where you're making someone who's not a gymnast look like they are. And also, I just wanted to be able to shoot and just make it feel really natural. And also, like, a gymnast has a certain physicality in their body that you can kind of see. Like, Frankie has a gymnast's figure, so that was all really important to me. So basically, with Lucy, the casting director, we put it out on social media all over the Southeast, and we met loads and loads of gymnasts. We had like a 10-15 minute chat with each person first of all, because we didn't want to freak people out with doing acting in the first audition, and then we kind of filtered off the girls we liked and brought them back and started to do acting sessions. And it was just so clear, like I say, that she was very, very strong at acting from the beginning. And she had these like really cool things, like she just had Frankie has a great confident way of talking. I mean, she's not always confident, obviously, but she's got a really, really great way of talking and being like really straightforward about things, which I really love. She has amazing hair. Like, I'm obsessed with Frankie's hair. And so she has all these like details. It was just like really exciting. To be honest, though, the first time I met her, she did actually seem quite different to the second time I met her. I think she wasn't. I don't think Frankie minds me saying, but she wasn't very. I don't think she was that well when the first time I met her. So she looked quite different. And then the next time I met her, she was just much more healthy and she looked more like herself. And I was just like really blown away by her. And I from quite early on, I thought it's probably going to be Frankie who's going to be the main part.
Yeah, I mean, amazing job. I hope we get to tell her in person if she comes back.
Yeah.
So the film's not explicit about what's happened to Lee's mum and why she's not around, and nor why fully their dad's not available. You don't really fill in much. I kind of love that. You kind of leave the characters, the audience know as much as the characters in a way. But it really beautifully conveys absence and grief and the need for connection, and the kids are so hungry for it. And can you talk, how did you explore that? And I'd like Alfie to talk about also how you explored that, in your performance, because it feels really genuine how you explore grief and absence, particularly absence of parents, absence of elders.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, for me, like, it's always a tricky one when you make a film about grief and you have like this very central character in a character's life, like Lee's mum, and she's obviously missing, and we don't see her, and we don't do flashbacks. I was never going to do flashbacks. I also wasn't going to do a shot where we had Lee like looking at a photo of her mum. Do you know what I mean? Because it's just like, it's too simplistic a way to do it. So I just wanted to, you know, like, from my own experience, you know, people I know, and, you know, like, when people go through hard things, people don't just sit around and talk about it. Do you know what I mean? People generally don't talk about it that much. So I felt like we wanted to find out about Lee's backstory through her, but it wasn't going to be like right at the beginning of the film that she was going to be crying about her mum or whatever. Like, I wanted to find out about it really slowly. And with her dad, I mean, the dad's an interesting one. Like, it's very interesting getting people's reactions of him, because obviously he's not doing very well as a dad in this. I mean, for me, he's someone who's got a very sort of dysfunctional kind of grief going on, and it's kind of manifesting itself in really not great ways. I couldn't tie that up with a ribbon at the end. I didn't want to tie that up with a ribbon at the end and have a scene where everyone's all great, everything's fine between Joe, Dad, Frankie. It's just not realistic to me. I think these things take a long time to heal, and this film is only set over 7 days. So within this, like, a scene with Lee and her dad, which kind of opens the door like a tiny little bit to maybe like things healing in the future. But it's actually the scene is left in quite a sad way, because I just don't feel like you can solve things in one conversation, basically. So, and then in terms, I'll let Alfie continue on this in a minute, but basically in terms of what I did with the actors was that we didn't rehearse the scenes in the film. What we did was we got both Alfie and Frankie separately to rehearse with people playing their mums. So Frankie did the rehearsals with, you say, Alfie. Tell us what we did.
That played a big part for me, I think. You got was it Nicola? No, Natalie.
Gina.
Gina. Where am I getting Nicola and Natalie from?
I don't know.
You know what I'm like. Anyway, yeah, Gina was good stuff for me. She actually helped me with not just like how to deal with grieving and that. She also helped me with like my acting. I think she helped me like come out of my shell a little bit with the acting side of it. Not to play too much on my emotions and stuff like that. Just try and let it be. If you feel it, just let it happen. Let it come out. If you feel a tear or anything like that coming, don't try not to work yourself out. Just let it happen, sort of thing. Don't force it either. But my main thing as well, really, like with the grieving side of it, because in the film, like, I'm quite distant with my dad. Like, not distant, but obviously we meet each other. I actually meet him through Facebook, and obviously that's the first time I actually meet Frankie in the film. I'm like, oh yeah, have you seen his Facebook profile picture? He looks like right mug, sort of thing. And what I'm trying to get at there is that it was quite good, because obviously I lost my old man about 3-4 years ago, and like since then I feel like I've had a lot of grieving to do and whatnot. But it's like it made me understand what grieving actually sort of is. Do you know what I'm trying to say? It made me realise that people grieve differently. Like, there's different sort of grieving, but you can still relate to it, sort of thing. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm. It's a process.
But yeah, Will helped me out a lot as well, to be honest with you. Will, when we was actually acting, he helped me out so much. Just I'd get a bit flappy in some scenes where I'd have to sort of try and hold in my nerve, and because it's quite nervous being a first-time actor, we all know this. But he helped me get out of it. He helped me, like, anytime I was starting to get a bit like clingy or touchy or nervous, he'd literally just calm me down and say, listen, like, take a breath, same as you would, Eva. Do you know what I mean?
And that's Will. Will is plays their dad, basically. Will Ash. He's the actor who plays their dad. He's lovely guy, isn't he, Alfie?
Yeah, wicked guy. If I could see him again, I'd tell him how much it was good filming with him. It was. But yeah, that's what
I mean. And Alfie, you did, because so just to explain, give a bit of context to what Alfie was saying. So Gina was a woman. She's a friend of mine. She's an actress, and I cast her as Alfie's mum. And even though we never see her, so we did these rehearsals with Gina and Alfie, and we'd workshop scenes from his life to get an idea of quite a complicated backstory of the mum. You know, there's very much a loving relationship there, but it's really broken down since he's become a teenager. His mum has her own problems, and we sort of went into that. And also we had because we never see in the film the moment that the dad and Joe meet each other. That's happened before the film starts. And so we kind of workshop. Do you remember that, Alfie?
Yeah.
We got you to do that first meeting, and it was quite awkward, wasn't it? The way
it was in that little place, wasn't it, in Brighton? And I've turned up, and it was like a little set. So obviously, it was quite easy to actually get into a character when there's a set around you. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, because it was you gave us a few scenes to do, like there was a crying one, there was a shouting one, and it gave us that opportunity to actually get into this character. That's what he was trying to drill into me the whole time, wasn't it? To actually take my own life away from this now and actually drill into my head that I'm now Joe and this is going on in my life. And that's the best thing, I think, for any actor is just to, if you're gonna be a character, I think you've got to be that character. Do you know what I mean? You've got to be that character. You've got to basically get rid of your life and put yourself in that shoes just for that shoot.
Yeah. And then sometimes it's also a bit of a combination as well, because sometimes, like I think it's really important for us to understand that, you know, Joe is not Alfie. You know what I mean? There's similar personality traits and stuff like that, but there's obviously Joe's character and Alfie's a person, different people. But sometimes, Alfie, you know, we might talk about something from your own life that we talked about, and I'd ask you to work, use that
sort of combination. Me, wouldn't it? I'd have to think about my own life and my own like even my dad. Sometimes, if I had a sad scene, I'd think about my dad or something like that made me feel a little bit, just not up for it. But in a way, it'd help me and it would make me up for it. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And sometimes, like one time, I remember, like I think you said you were going to treat Alfie like your little brother or something like that. Do you remember that, Alfie? Like almost like I remember, like we were talking about how you would relate to Frankie, and I was like, oh, I don't know. I think you spurred up this idea that you just treat it like you treat you like little brother, and I thought that was great. That's exactly
my little brother's name is Frankie, so it's like it kind of works out anyway. But yes, Frankie's got the same sort of banter as my little brother does as well. So it was like, obviously she's a girl and Frank's a boy, but I could still have that sort of same banter on set and try and bring it into the film, if you know what I mean, Mia.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I think. To be honest with you, I said to Eva, I couldn't have done it with anyone else. I done the auditions with other people, and I said to Eva straight away as soon as I come out of there, I said, listen, like if you're gonna cast me, I want to be with her sort of thing. I want to be with Frankie. She was like, she brought out the character of me. Do you know what I'm trying to say? She really did.
You riffed off each other really well.
Yeah, we did, didn't we? Bounced off each other.
But I think it was just like a constant conversation. Like, you know, Alfie, we get on quite well, don't we?
Yeah.
And like we're always sort of chatting through this, or like not quite well. We get on really well, and like throughout the shoot, we're just always just chatting, weren't we? About what's going on in the scene.
Problems, any ups and downs. There was a thing that we had called PMA that Eva actually taught me about. Yeah. Like this PMA is what got me through this film. To be honest with you,
positive mental attitude.
Yeah, you know. Now listen, positive mental attitude. If I didn't keep saying that to myself, then things are just going to go wrong, and I was just going to end up saying, "No, do you know what? I can't do this. I can't do this. It's just too much." There's certain takes that I had to keep doing, and I was like, "There's one, you know, the one where we was laughing on the field, Eva. Do you remember?" I was like, Eva, I can't laugh anymore. Like I can't fake laugh as much as what I'm doing. You know? But that's when you pulled me aside and you said to me, "Alf, just take a few deep breaths. Just keep saying to yourself, positive mental attitude. You can do this. You will do this." Yeah, you was on me. You was the one that told me about
I think as a director, you have to, like, it doesn't matter if someone's first time actor or they've acted in a million films. I think you need to identify in each actor what like issues they have, like which things can block them and which things can make them really good at acting. I think with Alfie, I don't think you'll mind me saying, Alfie, sometimes you can get into like a negative spiral in your head and be quite critical on yourself. And you just needed to be told that it was all fine and it was all cool and we're going to get through it. So.
Yeah, you're right, and you've done that well with me, Eva. To be honest with you, I don't. If it was any other director and they was quite harsh about certain things, I think I would have struggled. But you got me through it well, Eva. You did.
Good.
Well, you make it look effortless, Alfie. But you know, as in most things that look effortless, it takes an enormous amount of work.
Yeah. No, it was hard work. But when you look back at what's going on right now, Mia, it's like, do you know what? Every single stress that I had doing that film, it all goes away now. It all just goes away.
Yep, like, it's all worth it.
It's not a stress no more. Cause look at the reviews. Look at what people are saying about me. It's unbelievable.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think that we talked about it a lot. I was like, oh, it's going to be, you know, going to get through this film, and it's all exciting stuff in the future. So yeah.
I mean, on the topic of being seen, that is for me like the power of that scene, particularly towards the end when he's watching her perform. And I mean, that's really the heart of the film, you know, to be seen is to be loved. And where he's watching her perform her gymnastic routine, and that's all she needed, is to be seen. You know, usually it would have been the eyes of her mum watching her performance, and that's the reason her performance suffered. And so Eva and then Alfie, talk to us about that scene and what it means, what you were saying there, because it feels like you're making a big point.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the nail on the head there. You know, for me, I'm always actually really interested in confidence and like what brings out the best in people. And you know, it's something, you know, I think everyone struggles with. I've definitely struggled with my confidence before. I think most people have. And I think I'm really interested in the difference between, in artistic performance, I guess, the difference between like a performance and a performance that's really beautiful. There's actually, it's a bit embarrassing, but there was this clip from X Factor. I never showed you this, Alfie, right? But there's this clip of this guy from X Factor. I can't even remember his name now. I think he's one of the guys who did really well, and I don't know. Anyway, there's a clip of him in the judges' houses session in X Factor, right? And he sings this beautiful song, and it makes me like cry. It's beautiful, and I remember like looking at that and was like, and I remember thinking, I was just really thinking about why his performance was so good, and it was because there was so much emotion in it, and I think he felt really connected at that point. And for some reason, I remember during the script writing process showing it to a couple of people. They thought I was completely mad, but it made total sense to me. And yeah, so I just in that scene, I just wanted this feeling of, you know, they fucked up the relationship. You know, it's all gone wrong at the end there, hasn't it? Mm-hmm. And for me, the only way that she can really sort of say, she's kind of saying sorry. For not being nice, but also she's sort of saying, look, we had, you know, when they were in bed earlier and they're chatting, he puts her into a sausage roll and he says to her, like, you're amazing, like you look like Superman, and like really like means a lot to her. And then obviously things go wrong, and it's just basically her way of saying like that meant an awful lot to me. And also the fact that he's there and he's watching her just gives her that confidence to do so well. And I think for so many people, especially young people, like sometimes people don't have anyone in their corner to like give them a bit of confidence. So that's really what I wanted to talk about with that.
I think it was a sad day anyway, though, Eva, doing that scene, because it was the last day of the set. So it was like the last day of the shoot, and it was just like everyone's emotions were sky high. We was with each other for 5.5 weeks, like day in, day out, flat out, seeing every single person. And then you get to that point where it's all down to that last scene. So we're all, my emotions are flying high that day anyway. So it was good for me to actually open up into my character, actually feel that love, feel that vibe between me and Frankie. It was just like, when she looks at me in the camera, that was real. Like, wow, I can't believe what I'm watching right now. Like, it's an amazing, when you see the floor routine in real life, it is a complete different. It gives you shivers on it. It makes your hair stand up on your arms. Like, I had to tell her after. I said, listen, Frankie, mate, you've still got to carry on with the gymnastics. Like, you're amazing. It's her floor routine. That obviously Big Steve done a good job on the lens, but in real life, if you could see that floor routine and when it hits the beats and how she just moves around the floor is crazy. I'm telling you. But that's
how I like. Sorry,
that's how the realness came in, Eva, wasn't it? That's how I actually felt, like, wow, overwhelmed by it. I was like, what's going on here? Like, because that was the first time I actually watched that floor routine as well. So it was good. It was like, that was genuine. It was, it shocked me. Like, it shocked the world, really. But
I think everyone was a bit shocked by Frankie's floor routine when they saw the whole thing, because, you know, there wasn't not actually that much gymnastics in the film, and then suddenly she does this routine. Everyone was a bit stunned by it.
Yeah, it did. It made my hair stand up, and the scene after, when we sat outside, that was like, that sent a lump down my throat watching it for the first time. I can't even lie to you, because it's one thing acting it, it's another thing watching it and seeing like the emotion that's going through that scene alone. It's crazy.
And that was the final scene we shot of the whole film. And I said to them, because I needed to get a bit of emotion, I said to both of them beforehand, oh, by the way, this is the last time you're going to act together. And that was really nice, because that definitely brought something out.
Yeah, Frankie, she actually had a little tear going on, didn't she, and everything?
She did. She definitely did.
So, Eva, did you do that on purpose? Did you make sure that was the final scene for that reason, because of performance?
Well, kind of. I mean, I as much as possible, everything was in order. I mean, not everything wasn't actually in order, but mostly the most important scenes were all in order. And then I was just trying to think that day of something which could bring a bit of emotion out in them. And then I just thought, well, actually, that's the most the best direction I can give them, because it's really simple and it's a goodbye scene essentially. And you know, it worked really well. I mean, that's a really good example of improvisation, that one, because obviously there's 2 singles in it. And what I got Alfie to do to give, because I needed to Frankie to get a bit of time to get the emotion to have a bit of a cry, you know. And we'd had this thing we'd done in the auditions and in some of the rehearsals where Alfie did this really funny improvisation about wanting to go to Spain. Do you remember Alfie?
Yeah.
And like swim with the dolphins in Spain, and it always really cracked me up. And it was like just this thing we'd always, and it was actually, we did shoot it in the scene when they steal petrol. He did talk about that a bit, but it ended up getting cut out because it just didn't feel right. So it was this funny thing that we'd had for like, I don't know, 6 months, this Alfie chatting about
me just rambling on about how I've got this dream. Like, it was like, you know, like George and Lenny, like the American dream. I had like the Spanish dream to be out in Spain and just living my life and robbing bikes out there, and do you know what I mean? But,
so then on Frankie's single, what I did, I said to Alfie, can you just keep on talking about Spain, keep on talking about the dolphins, because it just, and you know, like, we didn't use it in the actual thing, but it basically gave Frankie that time to reflect on all the memories of us being together and get her the moment to get emotional. So it worked quite well.
I was running off, I can't lie, I was running off from that scene, you know, when I'm like, you're it, and then she runs out. I was running off literally in bits, mate. I was like,
and also that little bit at the end where Alfie says about Tig, that's all completely made up. He made that up in the scene. So
what's that bit, Eva?
I was just saying, you know, when you say the little joke about, oh, I've got one more thing to tell you at the end.
Oh yeah, we did, didn't we?
You made it up. I didn't say it.
I forgot to tell you. You're it.
Yeah, you made it up.
So, I mean, everything about this film feels authentic, and now we know why. And so, I mean, for all of us who live in the real world and pay attention, we know that not every child is lucky enough to have parents or guardians who, you know, help and support, or people lose, like Alfie's saying in real life, you know, you lose someone. And, you know, it just feels like you just did, not just obviously with your performers, but it felt like you had really done your research about that. And it feels like you're saying a lot, actually, like for people who maybe don't think about this stuff, you know, or to think about their own children or what they could do to mentor other people, what those absences do. So can you just maybe both speak to that a little bit, you know, how important the small actions and being present and paying attention is?
What, for people in just general life, you mean? Yeah, I mean, sometimes I'm kind of amazed at some people's ignorance to reality. Like, what, you know, just like a lot of people's lives are really, really difficult. Do you know what I mean? For so many different reasons. And I did a lot of research in Brighton. Like, I went around a lot of youth clubs here and just chatted to people and stuff like that. And it's stuff I knew already, but it's like, you know, you chat to young people and you know, people are going through a really, really hard time, and often like don't have anyone to talk to about it. Like, so often I talk to like young people, and you'd feel like, you know, they don't really, they're saying stuff, and it was almost like, oh, I felt bad they were saying all this stuff to me, because I felt like, so you should actually be talking to someone else about this stuff, you know. And yeah, I think we should just all be, you know, obviously just aware of what's going on in other people's lives. You know, it's, for me, it's just kind of obvious, I guess.
I think
I'm interested in the film. Sorry, Alfie.
That's right. Well, in my opinion, like I've lost my old man and that, but I just think to myself, there's other blessings out there. Like, look at what's actually going on in my life, and I think to myself, that's what keeps me going. I've got a mum who cares about me. I've got 2 brothers that are always there for me. Don't stop praising me and that. And like, that's the one thing that got me through the film as well, knowing that it will come to the weekend when I've got a spare bit of time, and they're straight away going, oh, how's it going? Like, just, and that's what you do have to take. Like, everyone's struggling. Everyone goes through grieving. Everyone goes through, like, my life right now is hard. Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's hard to live without my old man. But I just think to myself, I think like, there's other kids out there who never even met their dad, never even got to meet their dad. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Never even had the chance to spend time like I had with my old man. So I just think to myself, I'm blessed to even be where I am in my life right now. I was blessed to even be given this opportunity. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And I just think that comes out a lot in the film as well. That, like, down to like with my old man and stuff like that. It was good, because in that scene where me and Will we say about, I'm like, oh, well, you was never around. Like, even stuff like that. It's not the same sort of situation, but it's relatable. It's kind of like, my old man isn't around, so it was good for me to like get that off my chest, and like it was like I was talking to my dad in a way. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, grief. That's how I look at it. I just think to myself, there's kids out there who are struggling, and Eva's right. There's a lot of people who are just blind to that and just don't even think like how hard this life can actually be. Some people just don't take it into consideration. I've got no time for people like that. But me myself, I can't express to you how blessed I am to just be where I am. With or without my old man, I had 16 years of just pure memories and that. So you just got to take them and carry on and live on his name now. But yeah, man, that's what I got to say.
There's lots of comments coming up saying your dad would be very proud of you. And
thank you all. Appreciate it all. And whilst we're on here, I just want to say I appreciate everyone, every support that we're getting at the minute. It's overwhelming, but it's just at this age, I never expected this to come about. I was a joiner. Do you know what I mean? I was a joiner before I started this film. Like, and it's elevating so quickly now. It's coming out. The 606 distribution. They're smashing it out for the distribution side of it. Big thanks to them. Big thanks to everyone. If anyone's listening right now, that's what I want to say. Thank you to you. Anyone involved in this film, anyone supporting. It means a lot. It means the world to us lot. It does, doesn't it?
It does. Definitely. To me
yeah, no, I know he's proud right now. I know my old man's proud. I've just got to keep at it, just keep working, just keep doing what I can just to get by in this life.
Definitely.
So it's both of yours first feature. So what would you do? What did you wish you knew before that you could go back and correct? Like, is there anything, both of you, Eva and Alfie, that you think, God, if I'd have had more time to do that? Or what you would like to share that you wish you'd known?
Do you want me to be honest with you, Mia?
Yeah.
I wished that
Deandra's the hair and makeup.
Yeah. I was always terrible at pronouncing her name. Sorry, Deandra, if you're listening. Really sorry. But yeah, I wish that she actually let me get a trim, because I hate my hair in that. Like, it was just so, I just look so young. The amount of people that keep saying to me, Alf, you look like 12 in that, mate. Like, it's where it is, isn't it?
Alfie's usually got a very precise and smart hair.
I like my trim. That's one thing I do like to take my trim, not just my facial features.
And I said that I think Joe's been having to go around quite a lot, like, you know, sleeping on people's floors and stuff like that. I didn't really think he would have had a recent.
Yeah, so we had to get used to that, didn't we?
So I said we almost came to blows over it. No, didn't really. I said, no, Alfie, you're gonna have to.
Just suck it up, mate. You're not getting a trim, all right?
I think that's what I said. Yeah. So yeah. Sorry.
But yeah, what else should you do differently, Eva? Go on.
Oh, definitely. What would I have done differently? I think I just would have paced myself a bit more. I mean, it's a lot of hard work shooting a first feature, and also like on a relatively low budget. It's really hard, and it's also a lot of pressure on you as a writer and director. Like, I'm definitely a perfectionist in that I like things, you know, like I like to follow through on an idea in like the way that I want to do it, you know. And I'd say it's very physically and mentally demanding making this film. So I think I maybe like wish I'd I don't know, take a bit more care of myself, because at the end of it I was just absolutely exhausted.
Yeah, wouldn't
there's obviously like so many details, you know, when I watch the film I'm like, oh, I could have done that differently. Do you know what I mean? But there's always that with a film, you know what I mean? But I think at the same time, I think you need to take care of yourself as any crew on a film. You know, everyone should be taken a lot of care of, and it's very physically demanding. So I don't know what technique I'd do, but I think I'd just do something next time. So I just had a bit more quiet time, with a bit more downtime to reflect. Because actually having that downtime really helps you as a director to make really good decisions. You know what I mean?
You pushed yourself a lot, Eva, didn't you?
I pushed myself a lot, and you know, pre-production's long. You know, just trying to get everything in the way I wanted to do just takes a lot of effort. So yeah, I think that I might do that.
Even down to the editing, I see the pictures of you editing with Albo. It was just like hair was up in a bun in the.
Yeah, it was a bit crazy. Yeah.
Don't think you actually left off, did you? I don't think you just gave it.
No, I was just like, I was just very like, it was full on. But you know, that's just the nature of making a low budget film. You know, it's really hard work. So it's the same for everyone. But maybe I just have a bit more downtime, I think.
I think what I'd do as well differently, I think I think I'd research a bit more about acting. That's one thing that I like. Obviously, Eva said that I criticize myself quite a lot, but it's only because I always want to be better. I always want to do better. So I just feel like I should have researched whilst I was down there, instead of learning the lines. Well, not instead of learning the lines, but in any other free time that I had, what I would have done different was I would have just researched just acting methods, acting skills, just got online, just had a little look about on different YouTube clips of like the London accent. I don't know.
I don't agree. I'm glad you didn't do that, Alfie. To be, I mean, perfectly honest, I think that's such a natural thing. Like, as a director, sometimes I think I've got to look up all these things and learn the right way to do it. But to be honest, you're a really good actor as you are. Do you know what I mean? And I think it might have got in the way because you would have just started to overthink things.
Yeah, you're
and
right.
When you overthink things, you're not as natural, personally.
No, you're right. I'll take that back. Actually, yeah, we'll take that back. Yeah, no.
No. I mean, I think it's fair enough, but I think you did.
If it's a different film, Eva, if it's a different film, and I had to sort of be a different character, which is a good thing. This character was kind of like me, and that's what you see is what you get really on that scene or on in that film. But if it's a different film and I had to play a different character, I'd definitely look into different ways of acting, sort of thing.
That's a good way.
Yeah, that's the next step, Alfie. I would imagine.
Without a doubt.
In it to win it.
Am I allowed to talk about that, Eva, or the next?
About what? Sorry.
The next one, or?
Oh well, let's just ask Mia. What do you think, Mia?
Sorry. Talk about the next one. Are you collaborating on another film?
Well, no, not yet. It's I've got to do a couple of auditions online and whatnot, but it is looking quite good, and I've been sent over the script, and it's looking right up my street again. Mia, it's the words that they're using. It's only a short film, but any film's a film. Do you know what I mean? I just want to keep learning, keep doing different stuff. But yeah, so I'm going to see how it goes. I've got to get it sent over by Wednesday, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm not going to stop.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, I'm not going to stop until I keep going.
Because you were so excited at the end of it to keep on acting, which is great.
Yeah, I just can't wait to be on set again. I just want to go on set. It's just, I just love it.
So there's a couple of questions for you, Eva. One from Maker Scene Film Club. Hello, shout out to them in Manchester.
Hello.
Which filmmakers, particularly female filmmakers, inspire you? Who is in your head when you were making this?
I don't think there's like anyone in my head. Like there's so many different references from different films. I like to watch a lot of films from different ages, or different time periods, from different countries as well. So there's many different people. So female filmmakers, of course, Lynn Ramsey, Andrea Arnold, very inspiring. Female filmmakers now. There's an amazing Spanish filmmaker, probably people don't know already, called Carla Simón, who I watched her film not long before I shot the film and it's the film called Summer 1993. It's
gorgeous.
Absolutely and amazing. It's beautiful, isn't it? So it's about a young girl who's grieving, and that completely blew my mind, and I just thought that was beautiful. Just trying to think of other filmmakers. Everything goes out of my head. The reason that Lynn Ramsey and Andrea Arnold come to mind is because obviously people have been mentioning that in relation to the film and stuff like that. It's an interesting one because it kind of makes me feel a bit funny because I'm not sure people are saying it. It's a massive. I think these filmmakers are amazing, and there's other filmmakers being mentioned that I can't work out. I hope people don't think I'm kind of ripping off these kind of filmmakers. Like I feel like I sort of sit within a context of other filmmakers, and those are like two massively inspiring female directors who just who basically like really the directors who just know their own mind and have their own style, which I think is wonderful. But also alongside that, in terms of this film, I also like Jacques Audiard. I really liked his films, and I watched quite a lot of that in the run up to that because he does stuff where it's a lot more genre than me in some ways, but it's kind of often like quite interesting characters who are stuck between two worlds, like in Read My Lips or in Rust and Bone, stuff like that. So those were films that I looked at as well.
And Alfie, I mean, did you watch a lot of movies before you actually made one? Are you a big film fan?
Yeah, I'm a film fan. I'm into your, I can't even lie to you, Mia. I'm into your football hooligan films. I'm into your East End films. I like Danny Dyer. I love the Jason Statham Snatch. I love all them. I watch them time after time. Just all. Do you know what I really like at the minute is what Rapman's doing? Do you know who Rapman is? Yep. I really like how he's telling stories that are just so real to life, and it's also this this thing about struggling and growing up on the streets, and I just feel like he's giving out such a good. He's speaking 1,000 words for all the people that can't. Do you know what I mean? And I just it's inspirational seeing what people like him are doing. It makes me want to like one day write my own story. He's got so much going for the geezer. It's inspirational. Any other films? I've always liked Harry Potters and stuff like that. I know it's quite cringy. I've always liked them.
Okay, that would do.
But yeah, that'll do. Yeah, that'll do. We don't want to be
one more question from Simone Glover. This is for you, Eva. Your writing makes me think of the Latin phrase multum in parvo, meaning much in little. Are you naturally concise as a writer, or is there a lot of culling in the rewrite?
That's a really interesting question. I think whenever I sort of do a first like pass of a scene, there's like way too much stuff. So it's just like a big splodge on the page. And then I just tend to edit a lot. So I did a huge amount of drafts on this. And for me, I don't like it when sort of not actors, characters like say too much or like say how they're feeling like too much. So I just kind of cut away, like trim away dialogue and trim away anything that's unnecessary. I also had a lot of support and help in this. Like I had some script editors, who are helping me in this film, and they really helped me to get there. So I think it's not that my first pass and stuff is really concise, but it's just like when I get there. And also, even when the script's done, there's a big jump between the script and the actual final thing, and then the final edit as well. So it's always about trimming away anything. Like in the edit, if there's anything that's like a bit overstated or a bit too much, I just get cringe and I just take it out. So it's always about like culling stuff back.
Great. I mean, we missed Frankie because we thought we were going to have her, and sadly we haven't. So I feel like we need to talk about Frankie a little bit more. It was quite challenging making this film for various reasons, Eva, and particularly around Frankie's health. I mean, she's such a trooper. I mean, do you mind talking on her behalf about?
No, I don't. And I know Frankie's like, I've spoken to Frankie about it, and she's very open about it because also she wants to create a lot of awareness for the condition she has. So she's got a condition called gastroparesis. I think that's the right word. And basically it means that her stomach doesn't work. It's something that she's had either her whole life or since she was very young. And it was an undiagnosed condition. So she was going to doctors about it and not getting diagnosed. She went through an awful time with it. This is prior to the shoot, for many years. And, it was something that would flare up a lot and go down. It's something we were always aware of from the beginning, really. So it's obviously something that we have to take into consideration, like with the shoot and managing that. Which Frankie had an amazing chaperone who sort of always with Frankie and making sure that she was okay. I think we did have to have a couple of days off during the shoot because Frankie was just not feeling great. So we had a couple of days off, but it was very well managed by our AD. And yeah, like she's basically she got diagnosed after the shoot that it was gastroparesis, and crazily the NHS doesn't fund this operation, which just completely blows my mind. It's so awful. So she had to crowdfund. I just can't believe I'm saying that, 16-year-old girl had to crowdfund a very important operation, but she did. And she's got the operation now, so she's a lot better. She has a pacemaker in her stomach, but obviously, it's still something she needs to be careful of. But it means now that she doesn't have to. After the shoot, she had to have a feeding tube in, and it was also not just that. It was a lot of issues that were coming and that were really impacting her life a lot. She'd been in hospital a lot. It was awful. So so it was something we were always aware of during the shoot. But Frankie is just an absolute trooper. I mean, she's been through an enormous amount. She really has, hasn't she, Alfie? Like she's been through so much, and she does act very confident and cool about it, but it's been really, 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 really hard for her. A lot.
She's struggled a lot, bless her.
So Alfie, so she's become like you are like brother and sister. So that must have been really painful for you too.
I think the girl's amazing, to be honest with you. She's literally like, she's what every girl would aspire to be like right now at that age, like to troop her on like how she did. I struggled enough as it was, and I didn't have no illness. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And I just think to myself, for her to overcome that and then jump on set every day, and it's mind blowing. It really is mind blowing for her age and how she dealt with it. She grown up. She must have just grown up throughout that whole set and just thought, you know what, I can do this and I will do this.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, no, it did have an impact on me. Sometimes she'd come into like on set and that, and she I could tell she weren't herself. Like she just weren't herself. She just wouldn't want to speak much, and that's completely out of her character. Bearing in mind, Frankie's like me. We talk a lot. Any stress like that she had about boys or any trouble like that, we'd chat about it on set and in the time that we could wait. And then like there'd be days where she'd come in just didn't want to talk, and I sort of just clocked on and I think, all right, I'll just give her that breathing space. You know what I mean? But it was hard to watch, but it was even better to watch after she got through it all. When I actually realised that I kept on telling her, "You can do this. You'll be fine. You've got this, innit?" And then she's pulled through it all. And look at this film. Like, just look at it. It's amazing. It's amazing. I'm just
so lucky. I'm just so lucky that Frankie and Alfie not only got on at the beginning, but like stayed getting on. Because that was a big thing for me. It could have fallen out. It would have been awful. They would have, you hear about all these famous actors who fall out on set, and I can't imagine how you feel with that.
Fall out with that girl. She's got a big place in my heart, bless her.
Yeah, she definitely get on so well.
Yeah, she's amazing.
She is.
Eva, so even though, I know this is a slightly sensitive subject, social realism bracket for those of you who are fans and care about these things, but it's something that's always, kind of like contemporary British film is always labelled as social realism.
Always.
But what it feels like you've done is take the grey out of that. There's no poverty porn. It doesn't feel like it's going down the traditional grim, grimy route, and you give us colour and you give us hope without being saccharine. So can you just talk about what are you saying about Glass that's different? Because it does feel like you're saying something that's different. Yeah,
I mean, I'm not trying to make a big statement, but for me, with any film, it's just about looking at these individual people and giving, humanity and no judgment. Because something, like I said at the beginning, something that really irritated me when I saw the media talk about like young people involved like motorbike crime was how like dehumanizing and judgmental the language was around it. And I think I got really interested in looking kind of underneath that and looking at what's going on. The term social realism irritates me mainly because it's kind of bandied around a lot in a really kind of incorrect fashion. And it interests me how often people use the term social realism when it's a drama with working class people in it. Yeah. If it's a drama with upper class or middle class people, it's not social realism. So I'm like, what? I don't understand that. I find it really confusing and a bit patronizing. So for me, simply, I just wanted to make a sort of a drama about these young people, and for it to be two complicated individuals, and just to look at their humanity. And that is just what I would do with any different character from any class, I guess that's what I want to say about that. Yep,
lovely. And Alfie, I mean, obviously your character is, you do drag Frankie's character into this as well, like sort of inching into a life of crime. And and that says a lot about the lack of opportunities, and often, especially for like kids who are like, don't have the advantage and maybe don't have the education and don't have the support network.
I think that's what this statement is, Mia, to be honest with you. I think that's what we was trying to get at, was that it's so easy to be caught up in that life. Like I moved down from Croydon when I was 16, and like I always felt myself edging towards that bad group and the wrong sort of people to hang around with. I can't lie to you. And I feel like since I moved down here 4 years ago, I've changed for the best. Like I don't hang around with bums anymore. I don't choose to put myself in that situation. And this film's also good for young girls as well that do get groomed, do get like led into this lifestyle of just, oh wow, like money and cars and bikes, and it's easily done. So I just feel like this is a sort of an eye opener for all young girls out there that need to see a film like this, and actually do need to take it in and realise that there's another way. There's always another way. If you don't, do you know what I mean? If you don't succeed in one thing, there's always going to be another thing. Just don't choose the wrong thing. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm. But, and I think what I wanted to look at in the film also is that it's also really complicated, and it's easy to say, make the right decision and stuff like that, but life is a complex web of things, you know what I mean? And if you don't have people who've got your back all the time, and if you don't have people around you, and you're feeling a bit lonely, and often people really prey on people who are vulnerable to those kind of things. So So I never wanted to make something that was too like with those kind of, because it is kind of this grooming within the film. There's lots of little social parts, I guess, within this film, but it's not for me about those things on the nose. It's not like a sort of educational film, you know.
But it will help
in the first instance. It's about the characters, and that stuff is just there because it's a reality of so many people's lives, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and I mean, anything we can do to help make sure that young people see it who, you know, may not have access to it, like we'd love to help on that front.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, I don't want this to just be a film like that, just like adults who go to see, regularly go to independent cinema chains go and see. It's like, and I've been really, really excited to hear about some teenagers and stuff like that who've been seeing it, because that is actually really who I want to see it. Not just to teach them about any social issues about it, but just also to see a film about other teenagers and
so relatable.
And it's also relatable to see that young kids like me and Frankie who have never done acting before. It's also a good eye opener for other people to think, hold on a minute, if they can do it, what's stopping me to do it? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Instead of getting caught up in that lifestyle that in the film it looks like we're going down, it's good for other people to see that me and Frankie, young kids, young first-time actors, can still go and do a full-length featured film with me. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it tells a couple stories. I think it helps in many ways for different people.
Yeah. It does. Yeah. Eva, we'd love to help on that. If we could, like, you know, we'll put some money up to make sure that, you know, people who can't afford to see it might get to see it. I think that's really important.
So good. Especially like down here, it'd be so lovely because there's not really any screenings down in Brighton. It's such a shame because
let's do that.
It would be great down here. You know.
Yeah, I think it'd be good if we had a Brighton cinema turn out.
Because I think if you're like a teenager and you see a film that's like, you know, where you live, it's quite like,
let's go watch that.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Let's sort that out. So before we wrap, the film's on demand on BFI Player, Barbican Cinema Player, IFI Player, and from August 11, which is when is that?
Tomorrow, I think.
Yes, it's tomorrow. Apple TV, iTunes, Rakuten, Google Play, and Amazon. So
wait, what's going on here?
Yeah, you're going global, Alfie.
Access all areas, Alfie.
It's going on everything.
Yeah.
No way. I'm about to get off this phone and do a lap round Canberra. Like, what?
There you go. With a billboard telling people how they can see the film, please, Alfie.
Yeah.
And don't watch illegal streams, please, because they're hard to dodgy illegal
I told all my pals,
streams.
I told them, listen, we all know about the Cody. We know about it all. We know about the Cody, and I just told him, I said, no, spend the £10, buy it, download it properly. It's worth the £10. Do you know what I mean? It's a good film. I'm in it. I said to my pals, if any of you download that for free, just know you're not my pals.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Alfie, doing your bit, anti-piracy. We love
it. That's it.
You've got a future in film for sure. One message.
And it's also in cinemas as well, like some cinemas.
Yeah.
Yes, obviously a number of cinemas are open.
I went to the Bloomsbury one the other day. It was amazing. I can't even lie.
I'm so glad.
We was in hysterics.
And it is nice because it's lovely that it's out in cinemas because it is made for the big screen originally, and obviously it translates to the small screen, but with the proper sound, the big screen, it's lovely,
Yeah, more and more cinemas are opening, so you should be able to find it near you, if not now, but soon, because a lot of more cinemas are opening the end of August or September. They'll be playing it. We'll be helping with that. So
thank you to everyone that does go and watch the film, and thank you to all the critics, and thank you to everyone that's saying good things about it. It means a lot to all of us. It really does. Everyone that worked on the film
does.
It definitely does. Big part in that. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so sad that we didn't have Frankie because of a terrible.
I know.
Yeah,
so sad. I think there is going to be another talk on Thursday night at 7 p.m. on the Curzon On Demand home cinema, and also maybe in a couple more weeks there might be like another one as well. So hopefully Frankie's going to be on that. Frankie's amazing and she's great at chatting about stuff. So
she's done lots of great interviews, so you can look them up as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Anything else to add, Eva?
No, just I hope anyone if you're able can see the film, and just I also hope any other filmmakers that consider casting first-time actors. There's lots of talent out there. in front and behind the camera as well. I think we've got to make sure there's like more people coming into the industry. So it's not just the same old people making films and like starring in films.
Yeah, especially people
I just
who
say
don't.
thank you to you as well. Thank you for
Yes.
just your side of things. Thank you for doing what you do for this. You're obviously you're quite high up in the bird's eye view. It looks like me. I don't really.
Yeah, top of the tree, babe.
Boss lady.
Well, I just want to say thank you to you, and yeah, thank you to everyone that's actually supporting us and making this film where it is. It means a lot.
Thank you. Beautiful job, both of you.
Thank you so much, Mia.
Lots of love
so
for
nice
Frankie
to
if she's listening, and lovely to see you too. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Eva, I'll speak to you for the week anyway. All right?
Speak to you very soon, Alfie.
All right,
Thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to go.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.